Hey, Reagan Boggs here, and I am an ACOA and Quality of Life Coach. The subject of today's video, addiction, enabling versus helping, how to know the difference. As ACOAs, more than likely we still have addicted people in our lives, whether it's our parents or our siblings. If we were lucky enough to dodge the addiction bullet ourselves, as far as substance abuse, it's very likely that we are in a relationship with someone who has addiction issues or a spouse. And we love these people. We care about them deeply. We don't want them to kill themselves. We want them to get over this disease, and we try everything that we can to help them get over it, and a lot of times to our own detriment and a lot of times to theirs. And I say this in every video, I'm not a therapist. I'm coming from this as just been in the trenches and wanting to understand these topics myself. Because I'm living this experience, I'm living it. So this is information that I felt like I absolutely needed, because I have someone that I love very much who is struggling with addiction right now and has sought my help. And I'm like, how do I do this? How do I do this and make sure that I'm not causing more damage than good? So I have done some research and read some books. Obviously, I read a lot of books. You should too, if you have questions. Unfortunately, in addiction, common sense does not win out here. It's complicated, and this is emotional. And I cannot stress enough how screwed up this is and how it messes with your head when you're trying to help someone and you want them to get over it so badly that you are willing to do almost anything to help them. So we really let's figure out how to do it, and we have to understand too that the outcome, we have no control over the outcome. We just do the best we can. At the end of the day, it's on them, and that's a tough one. I'm going to go through the list of the enabling behaviors, and then we'll talk a little bit about maybe a better way to go about some of these things to where it's more helpful. The first topic I'm going to talk about is not allowing the alcoholic to experience the consequences of the things that they're doing in their lives. And if they've gone to jail, you're bailing them out, you're paying their fines, you're constantly covering up or trying to soften the blow of some of these things. And, it's just like any child. They have to know that there's consequences for things, and they have to be able to experience those consequences to learn from them. And if you keep protecting them, then they're not going to learn, and they're going to just keep doing these things, and they're never going to be self-sufficient enough to be able to manage them on their own. If they go to jail, so be it. Maybe they won't like it, and that's a good thing. They have to see that there's negative impacts to what they do, and if they never see the negative impacts, then they're never going to want to change. And so that's a big one. And we want to be the safety net for these folks so they're not doing themselves permanent harm. They're not ending up with criminal records that they're going to have to try to struggle overcoming their entire lives. They've got kids maybe, or you don't want to see those kids suffer, and whatever it is, there is, but again, the intention is good, but the outcome is definitely not. Another thing that you do things for them that they can do themselves, which is not something that you want to do. You want to encourage independence and not dependence. And this applies a lot in the parent dynamic with kids, because the addiction, and when they're intoxicated, some simple things that they would normally just do for themselves, it's more of a challenge, and you're providing this help for them, you know, and you don't want to do this. You're making their doctor's appointments, or you're feeding them. You're making sure that they have dinner on the table when they're grown people, and you make them dependent, and you also make them lose confidence in their capabilities when you do things for them that they should be doing for themselves. Don't do it. Another thing that we do is we tolerate their excuses, we tolerate their lies, and we just kind of let them do it. Either we have this cognitive dissonance thing going on where we want to believe them so badly, we just kind of let them by with things. But, you know, by not calling them on it, again, you are just encouraging more of the same, and you don't want to do that. You want to make sure that the relationship is based on credibility, and you know, that if they're slipping or they're doing things that are bad and they have all this, well, you know, whatever excuse they may have, they are full of excuses. You just got to call the bullshit and say, you know, good try, but we know what's really going on here. And by keeping them in reality, it allows them to stop fooling themselves. Because sometimes these excuses, they've rationalized this to make sure in their mind that what they're doing is okay. And when you accept the excuses, then you're just kind of reinforcing that, which you don't want to do. Also, you may suffer abuse by the hands of this addict, or you may let them violate your boundaries over and over again. And again, that's a pattern that will continue if you don't stand your ground. You know, you want to help an addict, but you don't want to help them in a situation where you are putting your own safety at risk. If they are abusive, violent toward you, if they are messing with people in the drug world, where you may end up getting indirect consequences of your own. He or she may be running around with some really shady folks who might break in one night and get into your medicine cabinet, and you might get in between some desperate kind of behavior there. You have to really be mindful of your own safety when you're dealing with addicts. And, you know, if you say to them, if you keep doing this, you're out of here, but you never back it up, then you are sending a very bad signal to the addict. You again have to stand your ground, and you have to make sure that you're helping in a way that it's their idea. I mean, you can't sit there and nag, and push them into help. They have to want it. And you have to let all of these things happen. I mean, they have to feel the pain of what the addiction is doing to them. And if you protect them from that pain, then you're buffering the very thing that is going to fuel and spur them into wanting to recover. So let's just don't do that, right? So what can you do? Again, be kind, but be firm. Address issues as they come up, and don't hold them in and blow up and bring up everything they've ever screwed up in their life over the last 20 years. Because, I mean, more than likely they know how they've screwed up, and probably inside they feel like failures, because in a lot of ways, when they've made promises at the time, they more than likely probably meant those things, and they've let you down and they've let themselves down. They know that. So address things when they happen. Don't wait, and move on. And again, don't tolerate, and back up what you say. Also, if you want to help, assemble a support team, don't do it all on your own. Don't take on the burden of helping an addict by yourself. Make sure that you have support, but also make sure that that they are taking some ownership of building that support network too, whether it be through AA or getting help. Again, that has to be something that they have to want to take ownership. You can't force this. It will not be successful if it is your idea. But, if you need a support network, they need a support network, and it has to be a team effort. It's not something that you can do alone if you truly want to help. And the last thing that I want to very, very strongly stress, never give them money and never buy drugs for them. I don't care how bad withdrawals or whatever they may be going through, or if they're making threats or threatening suicide or whatever they do to mess with your head, because they will. Don't give them money and don't buy them drugs. That's how you can help them. And this is a very tough one because they can make you feel like crap, and you just want to ease the edge. You don't want to see them suffer, so you're almost willing to buy them the drugs, either one, to get them off your back because they are hounding you and they won't leave you alone, or because you're seeing them in a state that's scary for you, and almost seeing them get their fix or whatever is better than seeing them going through DTs or having seizures, or make sure that if you do see that they are going through those kinds of circumstances, that they're getting medical care, and that you are not trying to manage that yourself. Keeping things private or trying to, again, secrecy in a lot of these situations is the first line of defense, because you may be embarrassed. You may not want people to know for their own sake of how bad things actually are. But again, you're not doing them any favors by keeping stuff secret. I mean, if they need help, you have to hit things head on, and you have to call things for what they are. You have to be honest with yourself. You have to be honest with the addict about what is truly going on here. Again, I know this is a lot of information, and I want to stress, please research, and if there's any questions that you have around helping versus enabling, this is such an important topic around addiction and how you live your day-to-day life with someone who is an addict that you want to see overcome the addiction, how you go about being a supportive person for that person without losing yourself, without causing yourself harm, and in the same way, being able to really truly help them and not enable them. Again, thank you for your time, and please research